What up, positive vibrators tuning in around the world? In today's episode, we have an up-and-coming entrepreneur, Jamell King, reppin Nottingham, England. He talks about how he started his brand, Insightful Clothing, the difference between mainstream media in the UK versus the US, and some of his theories on conspiracies. Hope you guys enjoy this episode.
The burnt egg roll?
Insightful Clothing.
Yeah.
I like the whole theme of your clothing line. Like, it's a pretty dope idea. But we'll get into like how that came about as we progress.
Yeah.
But like, so you were saying you grew up in Nottingham?
No, Nottingham, England. Been more or less my whole life. Like I was saying, I've only just recently been back like a few months. I was technically out of the country up north, up Scotland, like kind of a bad relationship. But I got the experience, like I was saying, up there. There's like the Mother Lodge of Freemasonry, which like I was trying to get involved in around the certain shrines and certain the roots of this whole knowledge thing and get insightful, more interactive in that terms. But it didn't kind of happen like that. But yeah, I've just recently been around like the country for last few months, like touring kind of thing.
Now, when you say like Freemasonry, are you talking about kind of like the Illuminati?
Yeah, it's like the Mother Lodge of Scotland. It's like the Mother Lodge of Freemasonry is up there. Like you walk past certain buildings and you see like, you know, like the whole symbols on the buildings and stuff, and even on graves, like there's like Freemasonry graves and stuff when you walk past certain places. And like my ex was a whole lot more intricate knowledge wise in terms of like where specific ruins and places are, but like we just didn't see eye to eye a lot, so it just backfired. And then yeah.
That Freemasonry and Illuminati, it's kind of like the stories, they run deep, you know, like, and yeah. I think a lot of people, they kind of like get confused between Freemasons and Illuminati, but I feel like I watched the documentary on the Illuminati and I think it's all connected somehow, right? Are you kind to with the background story of it?
Somewhat. Like I said, she's much more intricate. Like it's only been recently, like because I've been like juggling a lot. Like I said, like a few years ago, I was doing like training, like kickboxing, college, and then I was doing music in college and in my clothing, and then my son was just born. I had a son already, so I had like a lot of juggling going off. And it's only been recently I've had like the time to properly get into it and dissect, like, and put a whole proper perspective into the clothing kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what I understand is like the Freemasonry was like, I don't know, essentially deemed as like a liberating kind of cult, like we was trying to like liberate this kind of thing, and the Illuminati's like essentially the opposite. I wouldn't like to say that I'm fully aware of every given concept, but like I'm definitely in there in terms of like the whole spiritual and the whole general common logistics of knowledge and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. I think like the founder of the Illuminati, he's from Germany, I believe, right? That's where he started it.
That's the perception, yeah.
I forgot his name, like Andrew Weishaupt or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, I watched some documentary on Amazon Video about the Illuminati. It's pretty deep, but they started off, I think, just like anything, always starts off with good intentions, but then over time, like things not always, but things can have the probability to like go sideways left and right, you know.
I say like as of now, like my whole input is just it's based on like how like cults have been like, yeah, like you're saying, like manipulated kind of thing, because there's a whole, when you talk about like dark arts and stuff like that, like it's like black magic and things like that, it's not necessarily black magic, is how you use it, and it's how like, you know, every culture and every like civilization that we know kind of thing, like once they oppress, once they oppose like people in power, like they get deemed like feeble-minded and they get deemed like, you know, it's like with the Neanderthals, it wasn't necessarily stupid because the ideology of psychedelics, like, and they had like carved instruments out of bones and stuff like that, where they like amplified the whole ceremony kind of thing, and like, you know, because of the ideology of psychedelics, it was deemed stupid, and like goes like hand in hand with a lot of like races. It's just anything that opposes the oppressors, they're just ridiculed and deemed stupid, and you know.
Yeah.
Just,
Do you have any like experiences with psychedelics?
not per se. I've been intrigued in it. But it's just like you was speaking to with Alien Allen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can have a bad trip. You just want to be around the decent surroundings, kind of thing, because you know you can just have a bad trip. Like people just send you, you know, down the rabbit hole too quick, and yeah, I'm just trying to like have a good surrounding before I do it first.
Yeah. What about like weed? Are you a weed smoker?
Yeah, I used to smoke weed a lot. I dibble and dabble here and there now and again, but like I don't necessarily smoke anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was kind of bad on it, and I didn't have like no kind of direction. And this is where like I just had like a major epiphany. I just stopped everything what I was doing. I just hit and said, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I just jumped on training. I just jumped on college. I started doing because I always had like an idea of like my own ideology, like, you know, an outlaw kind of perspective, like just want to be something different kind of thing. And then it wasn't until I stopped being around certain people and then got myself into my own, you know, what intrigued me, mm-hmm. that I actually started making something and doing something for myself. And then like back to the whole music thing, I did like a level 2 and level 3 music tech and could have gone to uni with it kind of thing, but I don't think the time where I was doing music, it was the angle, what the thing I was supposed to be doing, because like round about throughout middle of my college, like while I was studying, I was just messing about with my hands kind of thing, and I got like an idea for the clothing, and it's like now I've got a lot more of a collective perspective, and I'm a lot more intricate with wordplay, and like it's coming like back into full circle kind of thing, like I'm trying to intertwine the music with the clothing officially now.
That's what's up. But like going back to like your like childhood, like the area that you grew up in, like what is the predominant like racial demographics? Do you know? You
know, you get stereotypes, and it's similar to, it's not nowhere near like, you know, like Panther wise in America and stuff like that. But you know, obviously there was the whole London thing. Obviously, like a lot of Africans and Jamaicans we all come to London at first, and yeah, we just kind of like spread it out from then kind of thing. And there's a whole stereotype thing still, like we still get like racially like stereotypes, and we still get like oppressed and stuff like that. But it's not really near as bad as America, but it's still evident.
I guess a more specific question would be like the community or town or city that you grew up in, and like the schools you went to, like what was the like racial breakdown that you grew up around?
What do you mean, like in general, like interactions with like teachers and friends and stuff?
Yeah, I guess like maybe your classmates, and then beyond that, like your town, like is it mostly like Caucasian or? Oh,
just like the diversity kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's pretty multicultural. Like, you know, it's very multicultural. Like like if it was in America, like I imagine there'd be a lot of like, you know, uproar about it, like because you've got like white people like talking like us and that with the whole slang and terminology and that, and it's not like I imagine a lot of Americans would feel like they're mocking us kind of thing, you know what I mean, like with like how they're talking and like their mannerisms and stuff. But it's not that, they just grew up around this and they're just trying to like, that's just them, they're not putting it on like genuinely, they've been around this, so like they've just like it's hand in hand for them kind of thing, like.
Yeah.
If it was America, I imagine there would definitely be an uproar by it, because
yeah. I mean, well, within the U.S., like it's very, it's like it's a big country, so from state to state and city to city, like the racial breakdown, it varies. So you can go to some places where it's like predominantly African American or predominantly Caucasian or predominantly Asian.
Oh yeah, no, like it's like I know what you're getting at now. Like in Nottingham, right? Let me just like re-elaborate. Sorry.
No, you.
in Nottingham, it's very multicultural. I know you got Sheffield, you got like Manchester, you got Birmingham, you got London, and that's very multicultural, like Leicester, things like that. But then you've got, I don't know, places like down south, and up north, like up Scotland. Like I was like one of the only black people I've seen around there. And it was weird because I seen like when I went to Chinese shop for food, I seen like Chinese people speaking in Scottish, and that was the first time I ever seen it. It threw me off. I was like, whoa. Like, you're like, what do you want? "Yo, that what you want? What you after?" All that. I was like, "Whoa!" Some mad accent. I've never seen it in my life. And yeah, you got down south, Devon, Plymouth, and like Torquay and that. Like it's more like a far more like country kind of based thing, and there's not many black people down there. Yeah, you got like your race. It's
So
weird because even in not.
So
Sorry,
I
go on.
yeah, sorry to cut you off. So I guess for you then, like the area that you grew up in, like what was like the racial breakdown? I guess basically, I guess where you went to school, and then like your town, like your classmates. Was it mostly Caucasian kids or a mixture?
There was. I can remember like as far as back to like bits and bobs, like when I was like 7, where I got like a bad letter from school. I took it off my sister, put it down the drain, kind of thing. Like mom ain't seeing that. Yeah, it was kind of versatile. It was very versatile. I'd say it's mostly Asian, black and white. Like
Okay.
Pakistani, Indian, black, white, kind of thing. Few Chinese people and like other races and that, like Russian and Polish and that, but mostly black, white, and Asian. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when I look at you, I if I had to guess like what ethnicity, or not ethnicity, but what race you are, I would say you're mixed with like Caucasian and black. Am I
Yeah.
close or am I off?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, so I've got 4 nationalities. Like I'm Jamaican, Indian, and I'm English, and I'm part Irish. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. Got you.
got like a bit of a mixture going on. My sons have got a lot more of a mixture going on because my baby mum's quarter Chinese, actually, ironically, and she's apparently got some German or something like that. So they're very mixed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got you. Did you ever experience any type of like racism yourself personally when you were growing up?
Yeah, I've witnessed it like up until now, like I don't know, it was like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
From one town like called Newark. It's got like it's like a traveller gypsy kind of back town, and obviously like even in Nottingham, like you've got like Bingham, Eastwood, which is Nottinghamshire, Mansfield, Newark, which is Nottinghamshire, and like they're more like kind of like there's not much black people around there, so it's still around, but Nottingham is just much more diverse and much more mixed. It's just like the outskirts of Nottingham is a lot more, there's a lot more tension there between the race kind of thing. So yeah, but you get it everywhere, I suppose, don't you? Like just
Yeah. Now, like out here in the U.S., like if you turn on like mainstream media, like news sources on TV, like they pump like racism heavy on the news. Is it like that out in the is it like that out in the UK too?
I want to say they pump it. They turn a blind eye to it, and like they just subconsciously inject the racism and expect us not to look. Like there's been a lot of like not retaliation, like protests and stuff, like marches and mostly in London kind of thing. Down here, like in town, in like on the forest fields and stuff, there was one like a few months ago. There's a few protests still going on, like the Black Lives Matter stuff. It's still here. It is very much here. Like the whole George Floyd thing that happened, that it was strong down here. Because there's a lot of there's a strong community down here for it. But yeah, like I want to say in terms of the media, I wouldn't say they project the whole racist ideology.
Yeah.
But like we do, but like the community-wise, we do. Like we like stand up and kind of Yeah,
because I would imagine, like, if I had to guess, it would be different what they show on mainstream media news, just because of like the country, your country and the country that I'm from. Like the history is very different.
Yeah.
So like the U.S., the history, the country was built on racism pretty much through slavery.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like it's just the same like story over and over and over again through generation to generation that they use on mainstream media. it's like hard because you see things on the news, but then if you're not like living in certain areas, it's like what Alien Allen was talking about. It's like the movie The Village, right? You can completely separate yourself from everything. And that doesn't mean racism isn't going on, but the prevalency of it happening is hard to gauge, you know, because if people are only getting their news from mainstream media, that's all they're going to think, or they're going to be programmed to think a certain way. They use racism to like kind of like, I think, mask like class. You know what I mean? Like there's classes, you know how they have like they say there's like a upper class, middle class, and then lower class.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Like, you know, they deem us the less. It's weird, like, because if you think about it, like when you look at like, I don't know, like us, like black people and stuff, they deem us all like criminalized people, and then like, you've got like Australia, where like the origin of Australia was like it was criminalized, like all like the jails was overpopulated, and then like that, you know what I mean, and the outcast of the Aborigines. And it was a similar thing with India, you know, like you didn't find America, like America was like inhabited by like, you know, the natives and stuff. And it's not necessarily our complexion or like our like people that are the criminals. You got like it's the bankers, it's the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, it's them, it's like, you know what I mean. If it was to like, it's a mad one as well, because we come from like kings and stuff, and like portraying like our like sense of it's weird.
Regalism.
Yeah, it's like we're entitled to address ourselves like kings and stuff, because that's where we like come from and that kind of thing. But it's like now to do it, it's just deeming as ignorant. Like, because you wouldn't see Mark Zuckerberg rolling a van in a Ferrari or a tracksuit, a Prada. Do you know what I mean? Or Bill Gates or any of them people. Like, it's just in my opinion, we should just like put a multicultural collective perspective into fruition, and just oppose these mindsets, because it's not necessarily cultures that are this and that. It's just how you conduct yourself as a person. You know, like anybody can apply themselves efficiently in any given context and in any way. It's just having them resources. But then again, when you have them resources, because of like our minority and our ethnicity, we're deemed crazy, or we're not like necessarily allowed to have that like access to that information, kind of thing. You know? Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you like tune into like mainstream media out there in the UK, but like, do they? But you were saying like they don't like openly or blatantly like portray racism in the mainstream media like a lot.
It's all subconsciously, like it's all like it's just slightly injected kind of thing. It's just they just find a way to make it present, but put themselves out of that light kind of thing. Like it's there, but it's just it's not blatantly portrayed kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
And I was gonna say, like, with like mainstream media, like, and a lot of news, they tend to show majority of like negative things going on in the country, at least in the US. So what do you feel like the general feel of like mainstream media is out in the UK?
The general feel, I don't know, I'd say it's down to like this whole crime thing. Like it's weird, because I see people who are standing up now for this, like this rights and this common rights stuff and that, but they still play rap music and they still play drill and everything's there. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're just contradicting yourself. Like, what are you doing? Like, so yeah, I'd say generally it's that. It's like, what was this whole coronavirus thing now? Like, they're trying to like, you know, mask that. Like, they're trying to say the injection's gonna help us and this and that, when it's like contaminated with like baby fetuses and all sorts of madness in it. They don't even know what's in it, but they just give it as anyway. I'd say it's coronavirus, between the corona the gang whole crime thing, and yeah, I think just them two, like majorly majority.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, interesting. The reason I'm asking you like all these questions is I'm just trying to get a feel for like what the UK is like, because I've never been there before. So like I know it's all different around the world, so I'm always curious to know like how different people like grew up, and
Yeah,
because that, however, wherever people grew up, that's going to change their perspectives on a lot of things, you know.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's a weird one, that isn't it? Because like a majority of Alien Island was saying this as well. A majority of like, well, England in a nutshell, England collectively, we've all just got influenced by America and things. Then and like a lot of what we were saying, we hit the nail on the head. Like they portray all this gang stuff and this and that and the other. Like, but it's not. I'd say the film Paid in Full put it in perspective for me. Like Mitch and all them lot, they're like them OGs, they lived it. And then like when it comes to like out of like that era, it's all like bling bling and it's all camerized and videoized. And when it comes to that, it's like the whole thing's shifted. It's like that's not what you're living. Like you're not all this rapping you're talking about. Like you've not lived it. Like we see this stuff every other day. Like you've only got to walk down the, like back in St. Anne's where I'm from, you have to walk down the road and like you see like, you know, junkies just walking just all over. It's kind of like Skid Row, like back in America, they're all over the place. It was all over, like, you know, especially in Bradford, St. Anne's and like places like that. And yeah, we grew up like influenced off you, and it's kind of like not like a lot of you, I imagine, look at UK kind of like you're intrigued on us on,
Yeah,
you know,
hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like rap and hip hop, like I feel like there's different subgenres within rap and hip hop. So you have some
Yeah.
artists that are more street, and
Yeah.
if the artists that are more street, like I think there's fraudulent artists within the street side. You know what I mean? Like some artists that portray an image through their music, but they might not be living it, right?
What I'd put it down to is majority of, because obviously like in terms of the music, like I look at like major indie labels and why it would be beneficial to be on a major label, why you want to do it independent, because independent you can put your own message and you don't have anyone telling you what to do. Major, you've got to, like, obviously you get the money. There's pros and there's cons to everything. You get the money, you get the fame, but you got to follow what everyone else is doing. But like in terms of like major artists, you got like people like Drake, like yeah, he's a major artist and stuff like that. But like if you look at like he's bit a lot of his lyrics off a lot of rappers. Like one tune I think is in the YG song. He bit not I can't remember the old school artist where he's like a lot of people dropping salt in the game. They're giving notions that they're really running the game, something like that. He bit like Triple X's style. It does they're biters, like they're mimickers. Do you know what I mean? They're mimickers. They're not authentic, like leeches.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's
Yeah,
just,
that's the same thing with Drake. He makes good music, but
he does.
how authentic is what he's saying? Sometimes it's like questionable, right? Like there's moments.
Exactly.
I think there's moments where he's very authentic. Like I feel like when he's like singing to the ladies, and I feel like that's him. Like when you hear him talking in like interviews and stuff, like he doesn't. It's totally different than when he goes like hard on his rapping. You know what I mean? On your like recent like IG posts, I've been seeing you post some stuff about J. Cole. Like talk about like your thoughts on J. Cole and then leading up to his new record.
That's my main kind of portrayal of rap kind of, because he morphs, like, you know, I know Ian Allen's talking about he thinks J. Cole's very cocky. I know he's right. He is right. But he morphs it and he blends it, like the whole street thing and the knowledge thing. He makes it all intriguing. You know what I'm saying? You don't just talk about one thing or another thing. He can blend it, and who else do you know that's gone back to back?
Yeah, I saw that post.
Albums
I saw that
with no features and stuff, like, you know, nobody does that. Nobody does that. Like,
I saw that. I think that was your post that I saw today, where it was something like the amount of like #1 like hip hop albums was like, was it like DMX and Snoop, and then there was like Nelly and who I think somebody else, and then but J. Cole was like number 6, or he was on top, right? Or he was tied for being on top.
I think it was either tied or it was at the top. I can't remember specifically, but yeah, he's gone back to back like platinum status with no features. Like, who does that? Like, you know, that's like my given artist. There's rappers like Immortal Technique, K Reno. I don't know if you know about them.
Immortal Technique. I know. Like, I'm not like overly into like his music, but I know he's well respected in the game.
He's an OG. Like, he's got in there with people like Diabolic, Vinny Paz. Like, you know, people like that. That's my thing. Like, that's what I'm drawn to. Lyricism. Like, like, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
like,
the whole,
yeah, sorry to cut you off. Like going back, there's like a lot of like subgenres of hip hop and rap, you
yeah,
know. So I think, but I feel like the thing that I'm drawn to through any artist is if I feel like they're being authentic to themselves.
yeah.
You know, they keep it real with themselves.
You just
You know?
automatically like pulls you to it. It's like gravitational, like, you know what I mean? You can't fake. Energy doesn't lie. Like, you know, you can just tell like who's raw, who's about what they're saying, who like. And in terms of Immortal Technique and K Reno and Vinny, I wouldn't say Vinny Paz is on their level like that, but their archives of knowledge is something from like the like the Library of Alexandria or something. It's just that deep.
Yeah.
It can expose a lot and they teach you through the music. You know what I mean? That's what I like. Like, this is what my whole I'm trying to like blend and intertwine this clothing thing. And I'm trying to like talk about something that's not necessarily been said. Play with words, wordplay, metaphors, punchlines, delivery, and everything. Not just one directional thing. It's boring to me. It's so boring. Like,
Yeah.
I can't fathom it. I can't stress it enough.
When did you get into rapping?
Been a fan of it my whole life. Like, you know, I always like from young was like D Block, Dipset, and you know, like Rockefeller and things like that. I always like wanted to be like kind of like Dipset and stuff like that. But then like when I looked into it, I'm not American. I'm British. Like, you know.
No, but but hey, you know, Dipset, they had that group from the UK, SOS, I think. Is it SAS or SOS?
Yeah.
SAS.
SAS Eurogang. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
And it's D Block done the same now with like was it Young Ads or whatever his name is, D Block Europe thing. Like, yeah.
What was like your earliest recollection of rap? Because for me, it was like when I was probably around like 9 years old, I got into like MC Hammer and Crisscross. That was like my two go-tos at that time when I first got into rap. Like, what was your like first, I guess, favorite artist that really got you into it?
From young, it was a lot of grime and garage and stuff like that. Like, you know, like, I don't know if you know about the grime scene in UK or the garage scene. You got like Wiley, Dizzy Rascal, Kano, Tinty Stradley, Roll Deep, all these people. Like, they had like a grand stage called Signbinder in UK, and like a lot of like known like Tiny Temper, Lethal Bizzle, Crazy Titch, Ghetto. All these people was on this stage, and that's what I grew up on, like the grime, the MCing kind of thing. And then like, I don't know, drifted towards like when I heard my brother like play, I don't know, little Tupac, even Drew Hill and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
you know, just Jodeci and stuff like that. I like music in general, like everything. I listen to everything, like rock, rap, reggae, everything, bro. Like, you know, and it's only been recently I've done that. I'm kind of like on an emo stage now, which is weird because I'm like 30. But yeah, everything. I have to put it into a collective perspective, like so wide of a range of versatility in terms of music. It's just pointless to not exploit it and put it into, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say grime, garage, and then gradually onto like rap, like from like my brother and stuff.
Oh, okay. How old are you right now?
30. I just turned 30.
Oh, okay. So the reason I ask is because I try to get a gauge of like what you probably grew up with versus what I grew up with, you know. So yeah. I got some years on you. I'm like 37. I just turned 37, so like I guess we'll have some similar, but 7 years is a big enough difference to where it's probably like you mentioned, like some of the stuff that like I guess as far as like US artists like you know, Dipset, The Rock, and like G Unit, like that was for me, that was more of like my I think like early college stages when they were really big. So if you look at me, how I was dressing and stuff back in college, it was very influenced by that, like baggy jeans and everything big, you know. But
you know
the eras.
I wouldn't say I was on the baggy stuff. Like it's like I got a lot influenced in terms of color coordination. It's like the whole outfit color coordinated thing, what Dipset like would portray and stuff like that. Like they'd wear a lot of color coordinated things, and like a lot of like Cameron was like one of the first people to like, you know, do the pink flamingo stuff, and like that'd be cool to wearing pink and stuff like that, like the whole pimp thing and stuff like, you know, it was different. And I was just like very color coordinated. I want to say like baggy and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
You know? I've always been like that though.
Yeah. What like kind of made you like come up with like the whole concept and idea behind insightful clothing?
Throughout the middle of college, I was literally, I was just like, because I do like a lot of like, I was still kind of in like a rap trap kind of thing. I do like a lot of hand gestures and stuff, and I was messing about with my hands, and I did this, and it was the like idea for my original design, and it's like, I can't even like show you a design without like messing up the phone. I could show you.
You're good. You're good.
Basically, I was doing like messing with my hands, and like this was the symbol I come up with. Like the top was a triangle. At the top there's a triangle. At the bottom there's like two eyes. But the two eyes, I made them look up at the triangle. Like obviously the top was the Illuminati eye. So like I depicted like the two bottom eyes looking up to shine light on the whole Illuminati, the whole corruption thing. And then it was a double barrel perspective with them being three eyes, like, you know, the pineal gland, the third eye kind of thing. And I just ran with it. I just did that and put it out there. Got to a few like clothing events, a few just got out there in a little circle kind of thing. I was just literally messing around with my hands, and I like that would be like I did like a few drawings even there, but like that was like the original design, like the 3-eye thing.
Yeah, it's very like when I see it and like kind of like your whole like designs on your IG page, and then like your posts and stuff, like it's very like spiritual. Like, did you ever go through like any type of like spiritual transformation in your life, or any like thing that made you change your philosophies on things?
Yeah, it's just like I just seen everything what people was doing, and it was just like it was just bullshit to me. Like I just wanted to not be like that. Like I've always had that since before I've gotten into had a knack for this whole knowledge thing. I always knew like say like things like when we're dead, like consciousness is indefinite. We can't necessarily die. Like I've always said that. I used to wind my baby mother up with a lot. Like she used to be like, shut the I used to wind her up like, but I've just recently started to deem the clothing thing as like a spiritual journey kind of thing, like because there's been like alongside of like the whole journey, there's been ups and there's downs, and there's been like derailing, demoralizing things, and there's been reasons to what I'm doing right kind of thing. It's just recently I've just looked at it as like a spiritual journey. But I've always had like a knack for being different, like just not following the crowd, like not wanting to be like everybody else because it's boring. Like even to like clothes and that, I don't want to be wearing the same thing as everybody else. I don't want them to be, if I see someone with something, I'm not wearing it anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I guess besides like your designs and your themes in your clothing, like what do you think kind of like separates your brand from other brands coming out today?
The strong message behind it, it brings people in, it treats people like I'm open to criticism, to ideas, constructive criticism, everything, like I wouldn't force my identity onto everybody, but like for me, just being interactive with like-minded people, even like yourself, like it's not necessarily the end goal of like financial gain and stuff. It's just people who can relate to it and resonate with it. Like that's what like I do it for, kind of thing,
Yeah.
It would be nice, obviously, to have like a little financial gain. Hopefully, I don't get too egotistical with it. Like, you never know what you can be like. You can say, I'm going to be like this, I'm going to be like, but until you have a bit of money around you and stuff, you can never know. I'd say there's a message behind it. There's no holds bound to it. Like, it falls into any category. Like, I've been involved with modernist, skateboarding, biking, BMXing, comedy, fighting. Like, I've interjected in all them things. So, it holds no bound. It's universal. It speaks for itself, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like one thing for me, like that I like kind of look at with like upstart like clothing brands is like quality. For example, like I used to do a lot of like NBA 2K live streaming, and there was this thing you can grind for. Like it's called like top rep in the video game, and I went for it one year. I said I'm going to dedicate all my time. I'm not going to do anything else but just play this video game. So I was playing the game anywhere from like 15 to 18 hours a day, and I ended up finishing like number 2 on PlayStation 4 and number 5 like in the world. And
Whoa.
so my YouTube channel, if you check out like my original YouTube channel, I have almost like 10,000 subscribers on there. But like I fell off a little bit from that because once I was getting all that attention, and every time I turned on a live stream there'd be hundreds of people watching me, like I didn't know who I was. I didn't feel strong enough in what I was about, you know? So
Yeah.
I kind of fell back from that. But I say all that to say, like, in that time, like I wanted to sell like my, like kind of like my idea and brand, the P.V.R LYFE, and I made like t-shirts and socks and everything. But I put in my own money into that, and I hired like some people out in Pakistan, you know, through I think through like an app, that Fiverr app. And when I paid the money, and when they shipped it to me, like I saw the quality on it, and I was like, man, I can't sell this shit, man.
You gotta be careful, you know, because like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get now, kind of thing. Because like in terms of like tracksuits and stuff like that, obviously like with my t-shirts and my hoodies and stuff like that, they're 100% cotton. Like, but in terms of like tracksuits and other like variables like that, I need like I'm just trying to look at a consistent source, with like a reliable source kind of thing, with consistency in the fabrics. Because like if I get like fabrics of certain people now, like they can go, it can vary, like it can be there 1 minute and then it can go, so I can't like meet people's requests kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I want to keep the consistency, like, but
Yeah.
it's a gamble. You gotta just like, yeah, I don't know, like it's very logical to not buy in bulk for someone straight away. Because you can just backfire. Like, what am I going to do with all this? Like, you're just looking at it like, oh shit, like it worked out in your head. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I'd say just
I guess
get a few samples.
yeah. Do you outsource to get your line produced, or do you do it all like locally?
Mostly locally. Yeah, mostly locally. As of now, like I've got like I'm semi-successful. I've got like a taste for it in the shop. Like I've reached a few countries with it. But I'm just like trying to round it all off, kind of thing. So yeah, it's like I say, it's just them consistent fabrics and just getting that reliable source in terms of tracksuits and all the variables collectively to portray that more of a professional image, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I was gonna say, like, you know, the thing with clothing, especially like upstart clothing, I feel like one thing that would accelerate like I guess popularity would be, you know, always finding like whoever's hot at the moment and then just giving them some free shit, and then like they wear it like at a show, or like they promote it for you, like however, through their music or their art. And then that's how I feel like it's almost like a collaboration, right? I think that's how, like, you know, that do you remember that streetwear brand Diamond Supply Company?
yeah,
They were on fire for a minute, but they gained traction because a lot of artists, like they were out for a minute. I think they started a while ago, and skateboarders would rock them, but like once like Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller, R.I.P., started rocking their clothes a lot, that's when that shit went and it became mainstream, you know.
yeah, right. That's just, you know, that's just like, you know, promotion 101. You give someone who's popping a few free items, and then you just, like, the most famous person to date that's been wearing my clothing, that's wore my clothing, is former UFC star Paul Daley, like my old coach. I don't know if you've heard of Paul Daley.
Oh no, I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, he was in the UFC up until like his fight with Josh Koscheck. I don't know, 2005 or something. He hit him after the bell and he got kicked out of the UFC. He's in Strikeforce now.
Okay.
Like a dominant force still. Like I trained with him on and off throughout the years down at Spirit Dojo. That's really like the most famous person to date that's been involved in my clothing. But in terms of like my hometown, like more or less anyone and everybody knows about it. Like there's artists like Jar Digger, there's Fidesz, there's like A Nizzy, and like within the general clothing range in Nottingham, I'm well known because I've been around in like a few like events. I've set up my store and I've put my clothing there, and like clubs to even like breakdancing events, you know.
Yeah.
Like I've just set up my little space in the back. But yeah, like that's how you get out there. You just gotta do a little promo and be like willing to put a majority of like your financial gain into it, and to try to get something out of it, like no risk, no reward kind of thing.
Yeah, I think definitely the more exposure like you know, that your brand gets, the bigger recognition it'll be. But yeah, I think as long as your foundation is strong and like you said, you have like I think connects that you can rely on as far as like production and all that, you know, and enough volume then to satisfy, you know, clients. I think yeah, you have a good chance to, you know, get out there, you know.
Once you get that down, there's limitless, you know. It's really is limitless, like. But it's just, yeah, it's just putting all these things together efficiently. You know, I've been doing this whole thing now, like from like 2015 on myself. Like I've not had no like assistant manager. I've not had like no people running aside of me. I've not had nobody else. This and that. The other. It's just me. I've been set up like uptown here, there, everywhere. Like I've reached whatever I've done now. I've done it on myself. So I get that like personal sense of achievement kind of thing. Like, you know, walking out of the shop when I got my clothes in the shop, it was like close to when my sons was born. I was like, yeah, I was walking around like Will Smith in Pursuit of Happiness or something. I was like, yes, like, you know, because I did that myself. I was like, yo, it was immense. It was a good feeling, man.
Yeah, I like the design you're wearing. It's like similar to Alien Allen's, the one he was wearing on the episode.
Yeah, it's the exact same one.
Okay.
You know? This is like another interpretation of like the three eye kind of thing. You know, we got like the Eye of Ra, Eye of Horus, and then we've got like the pineal gland kind of thing. That's what I've linked towards more lately, the whole Egyptian kind of thing. But like I say, it holds no bounds, really. I've got a few designs.
Yeah. I thought when I was looking at the theme of your clothes, like I was thinking that you had some type of like psychedelic experience or like something like deep that moved you spiritually, like hard, you know? But
you'd think so, innit? Like, it'd be a good shout, yeah. It'd be a very good shout, like just like a major epiphany, like whoa, insightful.
Yeah. But
magic mushrooms and just
Yeah. Do you do like any type of like reading as far as, or do you have any like spiritual like teachers that you follow through whatever?
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this book here, Stone Age Psychedelia.
Oh shit.
Ironically, by Chris Everard. And this book covers a lot of topics. Like I was saying about like the Neanderthals and like, you know, it covers a lot of topics basically, like people in power, spirituality, cults, cultures throughout the age, racism, everything, you know. Talks about oh god, this is just so much to dissect through it. Basically like anything like Dan Brown books, like 48 Laws of Power, all them things, it all falls into perspective into this book. Like, yeah, recently I've just been on this kind of thing, like the whole energy kind of thing. Yeah. The Celestial Prophecy and Adventure. This talks about like more like in the universal aspect, like we're all essentially after like energy. We're all battling for energy kind of thing. Like even to like where trees have energy and like people have energy, have an aura around them. And like how to talk to plants and it makes them grow more kind of thing, and like just giving them a sort of energy, and then like it's like I feel like all that information that you're putting in your brain, like I feel like if you ever like experience like some form of psychedelic, it'll make all the shit you're reading like resonate a lot harder. You're probably right. It's weird because the things I can do with words now, like, it's scary. Like the way I can like put scripts together and like my diversity with words and like my vocal ability, and it's nowhere near where I could be, you know. But a psychedelic experience could most definitely amplify that. Like, and it might even like give you like broader perspective on certain things that you can like incorporate into your raps, you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying, like I've got a lot of work to do, but my thing is I get wind myself up kind of thing. Like I've not got patience to like I'm not fully patient as I could be, as I should be, but the will is there. I just hinder myself with a lot. I try to soak too many things in at once kind of thing, where I should just like slow down just bit by bit and then just let it all flow kind of thing. That's my problem.
Yeah, that happens to, I think a lot of people, like their mind like races like fast, and then like you have so many things and ideas flowing through your head. And I think the thing that helps me at least is weed. When I feel that, when I get that, when I feel too like that, you know, like I'll smoke some weed, and then that shit will be like, it's almost like taking a deep breath and saying, all right, fuck, I want to do all these things, but I can only do one thing at a time in this present moment. You know what I mean? At least for me.
Definitely, like I don't know, with weed now, like I used to be able to smoke a lot, like even where I got like in trouble with like police hearing me on some madness, like they call me like Snoop Dogg, or like, yo, where's Snoop Dogg or whatever, like take the piss kind of thing, because I smoked that much and they know me to smoke that much. But now, like I just get too power with it, like I don't really like myself on it, like I'll get high, I'll walk around like in public outside kind of thing, I'll be like, I need to get A to B, I need to get like back indoors. You know,
yeah, that's the only downside of weed is that if you do it like every day and you take high dosages every day, I feel like, at least for me, like I end up not doing as much as I can. You know, I get I get lazier, like I procrastinate certain things. I guess that's the negative, and that's like recognizing in your mind saying, all right, I need to take a break for a minute, you know.
There's pros and there's cons to everything. Like people take differently to everything, really, don't they? Like, but like back to like the psychedelics kind of thing. Like in talks about the Egyptians, and there was traces of weed, cocaine, hemp, all of that in the Egyptians' body. There was traces of all that in their body, even to where they extracted like oils from lotus flowers and stuff like that, and like numerous forms of psychedelic amplifyings kind of thing. And they knew all this, and obviously like they know the capabilities of it, like intellectually, you could like propel you intellectually. Like the oppressors, they knew like the capabilities and the possibilities through psychedelics, and they just deemed it illegal for us because they know the you know what I mean. They knew the benefits they could seek from it by deeming it illegal and charging us and criminalizing us, but using it themselves, like, you know.
I was gonna say, sorry to cut you off. There's no way that I feel like certain people could have written books like what you're reading, or thought of like how to like kind of like mass program people without doing some form of like substance, like what you talked about, either whether it's shrooms, whether it's weed, you know, whether it's even like, you know, I would say alcohol, man, that changes your mind state, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Ultimately, like, we're all trying to like reach that ultimate sense of euphoria, really, aren't we? Like in any given context, you know, like it's like, I don't know, drugs, psychedelics, sex, money, coffee. There's like,
yeah, but it's about like learning. I think learning how to use these things as like tools to enhance your day to day at the proper times. But I think that's the hard part, experimenting with it to understand your mind enough and you're conscious enough to say, okay, this is when I need it, and then I do things better when I'm on these things at this time versus, you know, I need to be sober for these things. You know what I mean?
So it's a very good point, because, you know, like I was saying, like not everybody's tolerance is the same as everybody else's. Like people take differently to everything, and like, I don't know. The only way it's plausible for the government to say, oh, that's illegal, but we can use it, is in terms of like how like people take to it, and like they can just go completely ballistic off a certain substance, like, you know, and that they can just govern it and just be like, okay, like if you need to settle down, you need to take like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, like sitting down. I mean, you know what I mean? That's the only way.
Yeah, so that's the same thing as like what I was saying with your clothing. Like if you get like, you know, one or two famous people to rock it, that could accelerate it. But if they use, on the flip side of that, they do the same thing with drugs, right? They just need one or two examples of people doing negative things while they're on these drugs to criminalize it, right?
Yeah, most definitely, man. Like someone could just have like a mad cocaine binge and have my t-shirt on and running around, the next minute like my clothing is just shot right down, and that like it's just looked in this mad, this violent light, like, you know, people just running around, just that one person like on a bad trip or something where it could criminalize it. But it's just how people use it, kind of thing, man. It's just knowing your tolerance and your levels and whether when to withdraw, kind of thing, you know.
And also it's like kind of what Alien Allen was talking about. He's like, there's really no good or bad, but it's having the ability to check yourself and walk away
Yeah.
from things that aren't conducive, things that aren't conducive to your goals.
It's very important, because you just give yourself this image that that's not necessarily what you're about, like, and could just be that one time, or that one person you're around, like you just feel like you just want to be more like them, or like, you know, just surroundings can can take you out of character kind of thing. You just want to be like more like them, or get influenced by numerous things. Yeah, it's just
it's like
to just check yourself kind of thing. Yeah,
it's like what Ice Cube said, man. You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Wreck yourself.
You know,
it's
facts.
It's facts. It's very much facts.
Yeah, man. Hey, I gotta take a piss real quick, and I've been drinking a lot of water because that edible kicked in for a minute. The Spong right here, it's my go-to.
Yeah.
But
nice.
But like I be taking, some days I be taking too many hits, you know, and it's not good for my lungs. I'm getting old, so like I need to. That's why I've been like experimenting more with like shrooms, you know. Shrooms more, but also like edible like weed to see if I can,
trying to regain your stamina kind of thing. Just like
it's just different.
No, yeah.
Because it hits different. But you talked about recently like breaking up. Is that your baby mama, or is that like was it a different lady?
No, it's different. Like broke up with my baby mama like a few years ago, and like a year after that, I got talking to someone else. We had like a lot of common ideologies. Like I've got this like bad trait, not a bad trait. Like I just attract broken people, and she had like a lot. We had similar curses going off. Like it made sense to like go up there because a lot of stuff happened down here. Just get away, kind of thing. It's a complete different environment, a fresh start. But
was that sorry to cut you off, was that like breakup like hard for you?
Yeah, very. It was a big eye opener. That's like the second like longest relationship I was in, or the second relationship of that I've been in. Baby mother was 7 years. Was a year with her.
Yeah, like with like your most recent breakup, like what are some things you like help in the beginning? Like I know the beginning when it's like fresh and new, like the new situation after a breakup, like it's always the toughest point. But like, what are some things you did with your time to like kind of help you move on, I guess?
Just like with this clothing, just trying to keep at that. Training, I've always had to train. I've not necessarily competed at that. Like again, like I've just juggled a lot, so I've not had time to focus on one. I'm just with any given context in reading, like I just juggle a lot. Training, it helps me just release it. Like I imagine I'd have got myself in a lot of trouble if I didn't hit a bag. If I hit a person instead of a bag, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's a very important release for me to be able to train. And
yeah. Sorry to get personal, man. I'm just trying.
No, you're cool. Like, I'm open to everything. I've embraced it all. Like I say, like it was a bad experience with her, but I got the experience. I got a chance to like soak up another culture, kind of thing, and just witness that. Like I just try and look at the good things for everything, really. Like
I remember now. The question that I was gonna ask you was like, do you feel like the pandemic kind of like contributed to the breakup?
It does. It plays a factor into a lot of these things, you know. Like the mental health game and the whole thing. It's appalling. Like, because my ex, she was on like some like serious meds, some like proper stuff, and they gave her like 2 months worth of meds, knowing that she had like suicide attempts and stuff like that. And like because she's like obviously she's smart, and like she cross-examined their profession, and they got mad, and they got like to the point where it was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. And she was on about bringing the NP and all sorts. Like, you know, it plays a lot of factors across it, just because we had too much time around each other. Like if people got out of the pandemic in the relationship, then they need a badge or like a pat on the back or something. Because, you know, there's just too much time on our hands. Like before we could go pub or do this, go training. Like, what can we do now? We're just inside. We're just around each other a lot. Too much. Like, it sends us crazy. Yeah, it plays a big factor, most definitely.
Yeah.
But I think they knew that though, because if you look at every 10 years, there's been like something put into fruition. There's been like smallpox, Ebola, foot and mouth, you know, Corona. Like it's like every 10 years or so, like, and there's evidently a hidden agenda behind it. I call it the plandemic, not the pandemic. I call it the plandemic. You know,
Yeah.
There's a hidden agenda behind it because like look at the riots and stuff when it was happening in America. Like for some reason there was bricks on corners and like more or less every corner in America enticing like this George Floyd thing. I think this George Floyd thing was a cover. Like they put like that happened with George Floyd to like entice like a whole race kind of thing, or thing like the police to just shy us away from what's really going on. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not stupid. Like again, like the subconscious is doing a lot of things, but again, if we question them because of their power and our power, we're stupid and we're crazy. Like they're not, because you know. Yeah.
I agree 100%, and I think it's a unfortunate thing. I think the virus is definitely you know, I was gonna say it's definitely real, but then again, sometimes it's hard, right? Because on some real like high like conspiracy thought, like what if all these like doctors and these medical people, they were in on it, right? They're getting paid to like say, you know, this, you died from COVID, but in reality it might have been like some underlying issue, right?
You gotta look at things like this, bro. Like you see, like if someone's get COVID and they got cured of it and they got hit by a bus or a car, died in any other given context, they'd put it down as a COVID statistic because they had COVID. So it would be technically they died of COVID. And like when all these deaths was happening in America and this and that, like death toll was like 500,000 and this and that at one point. Where are all these people? Like where are all these where are all these people? Like
yeah.
You know, they're just making up these numbers. Like and you've got like hospitals like
sorry to cut you off. One thing to piggyback off of what you're saying, like you never hear news about like, oh, there's an uptick in like caskets being bought or like gravestones or tombstones, right?
you got to think like, come on, man, like, we're the only species that pay to die. It pays for us to die, like, and obviously like the general population on Earth was going above its preferred thing anyway, like its tolerable thing anyway. So like, what better way to kill people, charge them for killing them, and just make out as this virus, you know? Yeah, it's mad. But this is where questioning things ain't illegal yet. It's not like if you used to like have an assignment in college or wherever, like generally you'd go to a computer, like all the information is not going to be there. It's books. Like you need to read, like you need to, even if there is reasonable info there, cross-reference it, like get double opinions, like various opinions before, you know, putting all your eggs in one basket kind of thing, because that's where you just shoot yourself in the foot and then you're just limping around like a mad headless chicken.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You know
you're right, and I think a lot of information there's a lot more information that they teach you at like universities and high school and you know, like, but a lot of times I feel like people that go through like formal education, by the time they graduate, they're so sick of like reading like shit that they don't even really care about to like even want to go back and try to research and take the time to like understand like the history of the world.
A lot of people, it bothers them too much to think for themselves, and like, you know, it's easier for them to follow someone. Like not everybody likes, not everybody can deal with the idea of being an outlaw and, you know, being a vigilante kind of thing. Like they have to have someone to rule them, to govern them, because like it just frustrates them too much and they don't know what to do. Like, and you just, you know, yeah.
People don't like to think, you know. I feel like I mean I guess because they get information overload through like in high school and college. So if they go and by the time they're done, they're like, fuck, man, I don't want to read Like I just want to like experience life, you know? And so they don't really go back and start to read and do self-examination until they're probably like retired, you know?
Yeah, you have to think like this whole deprogram and reprogram thing. Like how many people, like it's evident, it's going to frustrate a lot of people when everything you've been told is not necessarily applicable in life. Like everything you've been taught, it's not necessarily, you know, and who's really like who's really got like the drive to deprogram themselves and relearn for themselves, like
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not a lot many people are going to want to like yeah, they're not going to want to, and it's just going to frustrate them too much. And
yeah, it takes time to, as you said, it's like, yeah, you gotta deprogram and separate everything you've learned and how you were taught to think, you know, if you were programmed. There, I mean, like there's some people I think that, you know, if they have parents that are woke, like they usually teach their kids a little bit better, right? Or they might at a younger age separate them from formal education, and so they like specialize. Kind of like I kind of respect LeVar Ball, you know, like because you know who LeVar Ball is, right?
LeVar Ball, run me through it again. Sorry.
Yeah, he's a dad that had 3 sons and 2 of them made it to the NBA, like Lonzo Ball and LaMelo Ball. But
I don't really follow NBA. Like,
okay. Yeah, but I'll just say, like, I bring them up because the way he raised his kids, like, he just made them dedicate most of their life to basketball, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, education, you got to get it, but at the same time, he's like, it's not the most important. If you want to play in the NBA, like, you don't really need that shit, you know?
Sort of like Coach Carter kind of thing. I took a lot of gems from a few films, you know, like Coach Carter, Boys in the Hood, like Lawrence Fishburne in Boys in the Hood. Like,
yeah, he was dropping knowledge, yeah.
He's dropping knowledge, bro. Like, he's saying things like, the best way they can kill us is to take our ability to reproduce ourselves, that kind of thing. Why do you think there's a gun store, a liquor store in every corner? That's real shit. Like, that's real stuff. Do you know what I mean? And Coach Carter is like, I don't like hearing that word. Like, you don't want anyone dropping the N-bomb. It's like, it's a derogatory term used to insult our ancestors. Like, it's real. Like, he's teaching them knowledge, and in college, like knowledge and basketball. He's not just a coach. He's a life coach. Like, you know, I soak them little hidden gems into them films. They're like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I tried to anyway.
Yeah, but just hearing that though is good to know. But to like really like go back and deprogram your mind and then reprogram it and then actually try to live it, like as you said, you have to be. You're gonna live your life differently than how the people around you probably live, right?
Yeah.
At least how they operate. But I guess too at the same time, like really though, that what younger kids don't know is that as they get older, like nobody cares anymore about like really what you're doing unless you care about what you're doing.
Yeah, man. It starts internally, then it's externally. Like, you know, like you're not gonna have a good health relationship if you don't like yourself, if you're not content with yourself. You can't talk at kids and that anymore. You gotta talk to them. Like, I've got a lot of nephews and nieces. I've got like 16 nephews and nieces, and I'm the only one out of all of my 7 siblings or 6 other siblings that I take my nieces and nephews training, like boxing, kickboxing. I take them parks. I took them school. I let them stay with me, cinemas. I've tried to play that uncle role because they ain't at it. You know what I mean? Like, in a situation where my baby mum stopped me seeing my kids for a bit, like, that's all I had at one point. But even before then, my nephew was always with me, and I was always taking him to training, you know. And if like my sister's second youngest boy, Dijon, like he got himself in a lot of trouble, like selling and this and that and the other. I didn't tell him not, like I talked to him. I didn't tell him what to do. I didn't tell him off. I said, if you're gonna do it smart, like, you know.
Yeah.
Gonna do it smart. Don't be standing around drinking and smoking and wondering why police are running you down because you're drawing attention to yourself, bro. You know what I mean? Like, outside of stores, like sticking out like a sore thumb, and that, why am I getting run down? Because you're being stupid, bro. Like, you know, I try to talk to him, not at him.
Yeah.
Just having that foundation kind of thing.
Yeah, but yeah, going back to like the pandemic, like so do you feel like the main like reason why they let it get out, and I do believe they let it get out, because I was watching this documentary called Shadow Government, and they said that you know, there's apps or programs on the computer that can detect like where flu outbreaks are at 2 weeks before they really spread. You know what I mean? So like with that, I feel like that's why I say I feel like they let it get out. But do you feel like the main reason they let it out was because of depopulation?
What's ironic as hell, people don't think in terms of context like this, because I think in terms of context, like, I'm so like out of the box, I think of things like there's supposedly 5% of the space being surveyed. There's supposedly 5% of the ocean being surveyed, and there's supposedly 5% of our human capacity that we're tapped into, And then, like, you know, they say the universe is essentially consciousness, and you know, there's 5% of each of these things being surveyed. And if you look at matter in space, like, it's a blurry, any object on the opposite end of matter is blurry. And if you drop a penny or something in the water, it's blurry at the bottom. You know, I think in terms like that. And then like, there was this whole, like, back to the corona, like, somebody bit a bat in China, in the most populated place in the world, ironically, somebody bit a bat and then a virus broke out, ironically, in the most populated place. Come on, it's just not fucking, it's not logical, like, you know what I mean? They're just feeding us this bullshit, and it's just funny that people just take it and just feed into it, like.
not only that though, but like there's been tension, at least in the US, between like China and Donald Trump. Last when Donald Trump was in term, like he was starting a lot of shit with China, and so I feel like that's probably another reason why they probably chose like a heavily populated place like China, because it's an easy target. Like,
you know, there's all sorts of hidden agendas, right? Everything, man, but it's just paying attention and looking to it. Like, at one point in time, the government and these people in power, like, they was the people, like, because they started from somewhere, like, they fought for themselves at one point. So, like, why can't we? It's not illegal for us to, like, you know, there's all sorts of hidden agendas. Like, it's mad because in terms of like Americans, like, I look into things like this as well. Like, say in the Bible, apparently, the whole, like, the Obama was obviously like the first black president and stuff, and it was called Obama's Nation, when like some people deemed it Obama's Nation kind of thing.
I haven't heard that before. That's interesting.
Some people called it Obama's Nation, but if you listen, this is ironic, in the Bible, it says
you're going with that, abomination.
Yes, you seen it, right? Like, you got to do the wordplay. I like it. It says in the Bible that the whole, it's like the thing where the whole gay agenda was an abomination, and then I think it was Obama was like something to do with like the rights, the equal rights, the whole gay agenda thing, like where it was pro gay marriage and stuff like that. And it just so happens that they call it an abomination, and Obama was the guy to have something to do with, you know what I mean? I pay attention to things like that. Like, It's like everything just falls back and comes back in circle to everything kind of thing. That's just one example, but like,
I mean, the thing that they were using like the past 4 years out here was like with wordplay. They were using like Trump and like trying to intertwine that with the Bible, saying like related to like trumpets and stuff, you know, the trumpet horns.
Yeah,
and when the trumpet horn sounds.
It's not necessarily a coincidence. Is there really such thing as a coincidence? You know, is there really? Like, it's gotta just look at these things, man. But when we do, like, we're crazy. We're the you know, the tinfoil hat people. Like, you know, we're the crazy.
Yeah, no, you know, a lot of conspiracies, they lead back to like a lot of people talk about like the Vatican. Have you ever heard those type of theories? The
archives of the Vatican is where everything is. The archives of the Vatican. This book talks about that as well. Like, when I was like trying to explain, I can't even project it like that because there's so much in there. Like, it talks about like necromancy, like old school like voodoo rituals, the origin of voodoo rituals, the origins of like slavery. In terms of like Elias Ashmole was like one of the oldest oldest dark arts practitioners, along with obviously Aleister Crowley and a few other people. King Alfonso of Spain, he was indicted for these crimes, but because of his power, he got exonerated because of it. You know, it was like he got exonerated. The Vatican archives is where majority of all this info is, and yeah, that's where they're hiding it all.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think, heavily guarded places where they're like, yo, if you get too closer, you're fucking dead on sight.
You have to think there was all like Area 51. Who's to say there's aliens in Area 51? Who's to say that there's not something else going on down there? Like there's not some like super bioengineered weaponry or something else. Like there's not anything else, some gene splicing, like human modification going on. Like who's to say it's not that? Like it's not like just because we're told that that's what's been projected, or this is aliens. It's aliens. Like maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else down there. They don't want us there for a reason. Antarctica as well. We're not allowed Antarctica. Like we get like planes can't fly over Antarctica. Why? It's the coldest place on Earth. Like, you know, and it would make sense that there's a cover up going down there. Like one of the most uninhabitable places on Earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of people they see these things, but then you get to a point, if you keep digging deeper into the rabbit hole, you're like, fuck, even if I know all this shit, what the fuck can I really do, you know?
You know, a lot of people look at this spirituality thing in terms of like, oh, you're just going to be like, I don't know, floating on carpets and just disappearing, walking through walls and stuff. But in reality, you're looking like Lord Voldemort with eyes as wide as a Cheshire Cat, and that like, you just, at the beginning, you just saw like drawn out kind of thing. It just drains you, and then obviously, like, once you just get the balance, you just, because I'm at that place now, like, I'm just getting comfortable, and my characteristics are coming back. Like, I'm getting more health. I'm back on my health and stuff, you know. I've been up and down with my weight, stressing and this and that, like, numerous aspects. But, like, now I feel like I'm just coming into my fruition with it, and I just need to be around more like-minded people to amplify that, and just, you know, such as yourself, like, you know, which is why, like, I can't, like, give you enough respect and commend you enough for this opportunity.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully, you know, like my channel is not that big right now, but it's I look at it as all practice, and hopefully it brings some attention to, like, you know, whatever help it can to, like, your clothing brand, you know what I mean?
Most definitely, bro. Like, it's a bonus that you're on the other side of the pond, and it's an American, you know, perspective, which just being involved with like-minded people, like, that's what does it for me. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like, going back to like the like UK area, like, are there like places like Area 51, known places like that out in the UK?
There's Stonehenge, there's Easter Island, and there's stuff like that where there's been cover-ups and stuff like that. It's not necessarily where we're restricted from going, but there's a cover-up behind the origin of it. If that makes sense. Like,
with Stonehenge, right? I've heard of that, where it's like, at the time that they say that was made, like, they're like, how they didn't have like the technology to get those stones like that, you know. I don't know if that's kind of like what you were thinking of.
It falls back into the Egyptian concept, really, doesn't it? Like, how did they, like, modern day cranes and technology now couldn't move them big slabs in Egypt? How the hell did they do it? So in my mind, it's to do with psychedelics, some like mental telepathy, levitation kind of thing. I don't know. Because they can't, like, and they cut like the stones symmetrically and that, like, they can't do it now, like, with that precision, like, you know, aligning. They never had no ideology of the stars and astrology. Yeah. So how did they align the Orion's constellation with the pyramids of Giza? How? You know, how? You know, how? Yeah. I think the Stonehenge and the Easter Island and things like that. It's like theoretically some cosmic energy there, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know, like, the ancients was very resourceful, like, you know, they was very resourceful, like, in numerous contexts. Like, they don't have none of our capabilities, none of our, like, resources now, but they did a lot more. They did a lot to say for their limited capabilities, for the limited resources. They did a lot.
There's even like an island, kind of like, I think a little bit west of Hawaii, either west of Hawaii or west of Australia. But on this island, the way that they had like the buildings and stuff, not buildings, but like the architecture at that time, like, they were like, there's no way that humans could have done this.
There's some assistance from something, from somewhere. Maybe not even like necessarily aliens, because what's the ideology of an alien? It could have just been an advanced race that helped, and you know, the Nephilims, the you know, the giants, the ancient giants and stuff like that. Like there's traces and evidence of that all over. Like yeah, maybe if there's some aliens or some race maybe doing here now still, like maybe there's some like underground borough like where they're still living, like we're coexisting with them. But I don't know, because this whole reptilian thing and that as well. Apparently that's embedded in the government and that, like the reptilians and shit. Who knows?
But I think that goes back to what you were saying about like the people that become in control, like at the highest level, because there's higher levels than the president. You know what I mean? Like
they're all puppets.
Yeah, they're all puppets. But there's people at that highest level that they probably use like psychedelics from time to time, DMT, and then they always say if you like take a certain amount, you can go into like another dimension and interact with like aliens or like spiritual beings. You know what I mean? Like, and so
yeah,
that's maybe, I think, why they have all these things. You know, it's they project that on the masses, but you know, but they're the ones in power, like maybe behind the scenes, like the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's something just behind the veil, just pulling all the strings and stuff. Yeah, because he talks about that in this book here, and I don't like to like again like when I'm talking about like terms of information and that, like I'm not trying to make myself seem like I'm this smart guy from one book, but a lot of the, like things in this one book here is cross-referenced in like numerous other books. Like I said again, like in like the Da Vinci Codes and Dan Brown's and the laws, the 48 laws of power and magic and all them things that talked about in there, like slavery, everything. It talks about that bad trips where you go to like other realms and these ancient celestial gods and stuff like that, and then people get like bring back a certain ideology from them, and then but then like, there's a bad trip where you like see demons and stuff like that. But you know, it talks about that's there. It talks about that in there. It's worth a look if you can find it. Stone Age Psychedelia by Chris Everard. It's worth a look.
Yeah. I'll definitely try to look for that, man. I read a lot of books, but like the thing with reading is the more I feel like I read, like a lot of times the information becomes very similar across a lot of the books. And then you finally get to a point where you're like, all right, I have all this information. What am I going to do with it? You know?
That's the thing. Like, how can you efficiently project that this collective perspective? How can you put it into fruition?
But I guess it's kind of coming through your clothes and stuff, right?
That's what I'm like. For me, that's what does it for me. Like I'm able to like with music as well. The only way I feel I can efficiently explain and elaborate on this clothing is through music, because if you look at some of my videos, I've got like different angles. I can rap, I can do lyricism thing, I can do the poetic thing, but I'm talking some stuff and I can only project it efficiently through music, I feel. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just like this is opening doors to me for numerous angles and numerous platforms. Like I've spoke things into existence, like within this whole journey. I says I was going to get my clothing in shops. I was going to manifest the money for the clothing in shops. I did it. I was going to get myself in new surroundings of Scotland. I did it. Even you now yourself, I said I needed a platform to talk about and portray the ideology of any common like occurrences, anything that corresponds. And I did it, and it happened. Like it may be not the most noticeable platform, but it's a platform. Like, you know. And again, alongside of these good things, bad things have happened. Like some mad, mentally hindering, derailing, disheartening things has happened. But you know, that's just one of the part of the journey. It's just like this big spiral effect. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's always going to be that. Whatever, I think throughout everybody's journey in life, there's always going to be setbacks. That's a part of the game. Yeah. Kind of like earlier when we were just setting this up, there was technical difficulties, right?
Yeah, most definitely. It's like even like Rocky. Like I talked to him from Rocky. Like it's like nothing's gonna hit you harder than life. It's how hard you can get hit and keep moving. It's gonna knock you down and bring you to your knees if you let it. Like, you know, it's real stuff. Like it's just being able to just take these hits, man, and have this willpower and just have this impenetrable drive and this sense of stubbornness and just be stubborn to your own cause, which gradually I can just like, you know, lead you to where you need to be. It's just being driven and dedicated. Like, you know, I've had a lot of stuff to put me off doing this thing for God. But then again, I help people through it. Like I talk to people who like got like bad situations and like mental health, and like they can relate to it and it corresponds with them. And like, you know, if I can help just one person, or if I can relate to one person and we've got a genuine correspondence, then I've essentially done my job again. Like I can't really stress that enough.
Yeah. And
like,
I have that same philosophy that you just said right there with the things that I do, like with my podcast and my live stream, like 2K live streams. I'm always the same way. Like if I can help one person and make them, you know, get to that next step in their life, then that's what it's about. You know, it's about sharing and trying to help people.
Definitely. You know, it gives you that sense of some reason, like, are you doing the right thing? Because there's, alongside these good things, there's all of these bad things and that as well. Like, it's like, again, it's disheartening, but yeah, at least one person ain't got to suffer as much as you might be suffering, or, you know, at least you've done a few good things out of everything that's happening tonight. You know, I don't know, just try to balance it and just.
Yeah, and I think if more people like think this way and understand that helping people doesn't always involve financial.
No,
like,
it don't.
A lot of people are like, oh, I got to get financially successful first before I can help people. You can help people just by encouraging them and, you know, or giving them a piece of information that you can see in them that they don't see in themselves. And then it helps them realize, okay, maybe I'm on the right track, you know?
Yeah, it just takes, like, you know, it's one of them things, like you come defined by your surroundings and all them things there. And it's essentially, because you can fall victim and get like, influenced by a lot of negativity and that. Like, it's all energies and stuff. It's just like what you put out there, it comes back tenfold. If it's bad, good, whatever, like, and, you know, like, you can be involved with someone sexually and that, like, they could have been, like, I don't know, say if they was involved, say if they had a record, like a strong past record, like all them people that they've been involved with, their characteristics can be portrayed onto you, but you don't even necessarily have to be sexually portrayed. You can just stand in someone's presence and that negativity can be transferred onto you. So you just got to be careful and selective about your surroundings and who you interact with, and that, like is that beneficial for you? Like, just because that's popping and that's relevant doesn't necessarily mean it's good, or, you know what I mean? Just gotta be able to tell yourself these things and just think for yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think that's why, like, mainstream, like, media, they let certain things go, like in art, like movies and music, because they know, like, the younger minds that are more easily influenced, and not only that, but like going through like times in like high school and college where they don't know who they are yet, and they don't know what they want to be in life yet. Like, they put out these like negative they I feel like they pump a lot more like negative stuff like through mainstream, so like it could, like, if I was thinking in terms of a negative agenda, like it would be to like kind of like corrupt young minds, you know what I mean, into having the wrong values, you know. But it takes a smart individual to see all that and say, all right, I know that's not the right way to live. I need to go the other way, you know?
I've got a prime example for how, like, you don't necessarily have to fall accustomed to your surroundings or be defined by, so you can define your surroundings yourself. Like, this kid, this 13-year-old kid, and he's got this page, Dini's Daily Talks or something on Insta. I forgot what it's called. I have to show you the link. He's a very switched on kid. He's like 13, and he was schooling me on ancient cults and civilizations and stuff. I was like, I thought, like, I knew my stuff, and this kid was cross-examining me, and just, he was even like interjecting in, like, you know, cocky sense and that, like, and I was like, I can't even be mad at him because he's not wrong, like, like, you know what I mean? And he's a 13-year-old kid, and he's told himself, obviously, or like he's had people around him who he's looked up to. He's had a like good sense of direction, and, you know, is he's smarter than, I'd say he's smarter than me. This kid's very smart, like 13, and he's beat cancer. He's an inspirational kid. If I don't know him, my friend, his mum, his mum is my friend's baby mother, and I got interactive through them kind of thing. But the kids just beat cancer. He's like, weed helped him through his like his chemo kind of thing, like the whole CBD oil thing is switched on and very, like, you know what I mean. And it just goes to show, like, just don't underestimate nobody, and just don't feel like just because whatever else is doing you have to. Like, you can always, you learn every day in a lot of different areas and ways, and it's weird, it's mad.
Yeah, there's this saying that they say the brain is not an object of its own knowledge.
Yeah.
So with that being said, like it doesn't matter like how old you are, like you don't know what you don't know. So definitely. Some people, they get information at an earlier age, some at a middle age, and some at a later age, and some people never get things at all. You know what I mean? In
light of that kind of thing, not everybody flourishes in the ways that other people do, kind of thing. But generally, like a lot of things that we know, it's already there. It's just reenacting that kind of thing. Like, you know, when you're a kid, it's wrong to hit your mom. Like, you know, wrong and right from when you was born. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of things, it's there. It's just like amplifying that knowledge that's already there, essentially, kind of thing, and in a correct way, in a beneficial factor.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think also, like, going back to like reading, there's a certain point where you read so much that you're like, all right, I gotta start living this shit. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like, practice what you're preaching. Like, you know, like, I feel like I can do this with the clothing and that. Like, you know, I did initially, like, if you look like at the bottom of my page, I got into like this whole knowledge thing in terms of like the border in US, and that, like, where apparently Mexicans cross the border. Like, if you look into the old grid of the US map, like, Mexico went up into like Texas and places like that. Like so essentially, America crossed into Mexico. Like, they've not necessarily been crossing the border. Like, they've reduced the border, like, kind of thing, you know, and crossed into their territory, you know. And then there's things like with Auschwitz gas chamber, like in German's Auschwitz gas chamber, and that, like Zyklon B and stuff like that. And if you looked at it like a few years ago, I don't know if it's there now, but they blurred out certain writing where they didn't want you to like read that info, get that information, and they blurred it out, and it's down on my page on Insta and that, like, you know, I tried to like portray a common sense of knowledge and inject that into the clothing back then, kind of thing. I kind of like pulled myself back from it because I didn't necessarily know in depth. I didn't necessarily like have access to that info in depth. I didn't know them topics in depth. So I like kind of like retracted and just sat back and just analyzed it a bit more before I'm talking about it, kind of thing. I don't want to like contradict myself, you know.
Yeah. I'm like that too, man. When I that's one thing that I wish I had like right now is like, you know how Joe Rogan's podcast, he has his guy Jamie that is always pulling shit up on the computer and fact checking stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I wish I had. That would make the conversation, I feel like, more it could make it more like truthful, because a lot of times we were just spitting off the head, right? But like, if I had a dude be like, hey yo, look that shit up for me real quick.
I know, like, imagine like you didn't, like, no one even knew there was something behind the screen and you just projecting, it's just flowing off the tongue, and you're like, Jesus, it sounded like some modern day Einstein or something. It's just flowing and that, like, you know, it'd help. I imagine it'd help. Most definitely would, having someone in the back to just
Yeah, for sure. The clothing line or your music, which one do you see like yourself like doing more, or being like you having a, I guess, greater sense of success in your mind?
Well, the music's not like, it's nothing like for now. It's just an idea. The clothing's just an idea for now. But I've done a lot more in the clothing, so I like to build on the momentum a lot more with that. So I'd say the clothing. But with the music, I can only, again, portray and project anything that I've learned efficiently through that. So I'd like for it to get to a place where it's got that recognition. But I don't know, I'd say 60-40, 60 clothing, 40 music, maybe 35-65, I don't know.
Got you. Yeah. Are you familiar with Nipsey Hussle?
Yeah.
You know, God rest his soul, before he passed away, there's a lot of like videos on YouTube about his story, life story, and he always talks about his struggle and his grind through interviews. And one thing he said, he was like, I knew that if I wanted to make it in this rap thing, he's like, I had to put all my energy into it, and I had to be willing to die for it.
Most definitely, like, it falls into context in numerous things, aspects that does. Like, the term entrepreneur, are you really an entrepreneur if you don't invest that majority of your wealth into it? If you don't, you know, because a lot of people like playing it safe. Like, they like putting a certain amount of money in, like, not fully committing to it, like, you know, and just hoping like that little portion of the money could just bring him this certain amount of success. Yeah, Nipsey he wasn't the most woke of rappers, but he was wise, man. He was teaching people, man. Like, he had like a lot of inspirational. Essentially, he died like because of this whole Dr. Sebi thing, because he was going to do an interview with Dr. Sebi, wasn't it? Like, apparently.
Yeah, he was making a movie, I think, about him.
Theoretically, like that's how he died. In certain like light of like how Pac died, kind of thing as well. Like, there was conspiracy theories kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nipsey.
But do you feel that though? Like, you feel like that was more, his death was more related to his relationship with Dr. Sebi, or do you feel like it was more of like just like a senseless like street violent death?
I do, because I don't know, because like there's this whole Bitcoin thing that he was doing as well, this crypto thing that he was doing. I'm not sure if it's applicable like that to everybody or generally like that, but it was, regardless, it was teaching people. Like, he was talking to people, he was helping people, he was showing people you can do things yourself, and like, he was showing people how you can build and how you can progress, and like, you know, and the whole Dr. Sebi thing is like, it's not very far-fetched really to say that he died because he was going to put that info out there. Like, he was going to.
I can see the seed or the beginning of what you're saying, but then I'm trying to understand like how it ties into like the actual like shooter being there. You feel like he was paid to do it, or he was, you know, something like that?
Maybe so. Maybe like the government hired someone to shoot him, like, because he was out there every other day. Like, he was out there in the West, in Crenshaw, he was out there in his shop, you know, active every other day. And that one, like, you know, that one day, just before he was about to put out certain information, he died.
Yeah. But I feel like as far as like the killer, they know who it is because they have it on tape, you know? So it's hard to say it wasn't this guy, but the reasoning behind it, that's something that, you know, we may never know.
That's the thing. No one's really ever gonna know. It's all a conspiracy. It's all theoretical. But again, it's not improbable. It's not far-fetched to say that he died behind the idea of the Dr. Sebi thing.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Like,
yeah. R.I.P. Nipsey, man.
R.I.P. Nipsey. Yeah. R.I.P. DMX. R.I.P. all the late greats. Even Triple X and one of the people there that might like. It's mad. Like Triple X, Juice WRLD, and that, like, rappers like that. I only just started listening to them, and then they just happened to die. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Triple X was an Aquarius, a fellow Aquarius like myself. Like, so, you know, like, his ideology made sense to me. Like, he was very versatile with his music, and he was just coming into his prime with it. Like, he was just coming into his essence before he died. He was very versatile. Yeah. Very versatile before, but because of, like, I don't know, his older days with ski mask and his whole hyped, like, you know, energy that he had, like, that all caught up with him, kind of thing, or that catastrophic portrayal.
I feel like a lot of young rappers that get gunned down, or like they die from violence in America, like, a lot of times it's because there's no rules to the game out here, unless they have like a strict like guardian or manager or somebody that's looking out for them. It's like, if once they hit like a level of success, and now that they're more accessible through social media, there's no rules, you know what I mean? I
don't know, man. I'm not trying to speak bad in terms of the dead like that, but it's stupid to think that you don't need a bodyguard. If you got that fame,
Yeah.
and then you got that platform, people are like, you know, and you're that successful, and you say, oh, and you're that intact with your music, and you're that cocky to be like, oh, I ain't got to have no guard, like, or that tough persona. Catch up with man. Pride is a major killer. You're just stupid to think if you're that successful and you're that famous, you don't need a bodyguard. You're stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, RP, you know what I mean? I'm trying to talk about dead and stuff, but
Yeah.
come on, man.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of young kids that get fame fast now, and if they don't have the right team around them and bodyguards, like, you know, that's how they get caught up out there, man.
You know, just say like with Pac and that what was her name? Something Jackson. What was her name? The girl he allegedly raped, and then there was this,
Aisha Jackson.
Aisha Jackson, and there was the Haitian brothers were
Haitian
involved
Jack.
Involved in the shooting at Quad Studios. It was people, right? It was his people behind him. It was his people who's next to him. Like, it was like the reason for his demise.
Yeah, kids, I guess they got to be smart enough if they're younger to like check themselves again, like to say, you know, maybe it's not a good idea to roll to this spot if I don't have like a lot of security with me, you know.
You've got to look at this whole thing with kids and that, man. Like, they've got no role model. Like, if they're not involved in certain topics and what's popular and what's going on, then they feel like outcasted. They don't feel like, you know, they ain't got a sense of belonging. They feel, you know what I mean? They don't feel like they've got a sense of purpose, kind of thing.
Yeah. What is it like with the younger artists in the UK now? Like, is there any type of like drama going on out there, or is it pretty like they keep it mostly like on wax?
It's mad, that is, because a lot of them, they snitch on each other. Like, you got this drill stuff and that. Like, there's a lot of these drill artists that live this stuff, but they snitch on themselves when they're talking about what they're doing. Like, because they live a lot of us down here, we live this stuff, and they put themselves in it. Like, that whole hip hop police thing is not just in America. Like, they listen to us down here. Like, they're indicting us down here for what we're saying in these raps. And yeah.
What are your thoughts on that show, Top Boy? I was watching that before.
It's a bit far-fetched. It's not necessarily how it is down in England and that. Like, that's the whole portrayal of that. Like, they just tried to put it in more of a, like, I don't know, like a Goodfellas kind of thing. Like, I don't know, like a UK's answer to Goodfellas or something. Like, you know, some like boss. It's not necessarily that. It is in a sense, because like, obviously, if you're not putting money into people's pockets and that, like, you can't eat kind of thing. There's that whole ideology going on, but not necessarily how it's portrayed.
Yeah, I got you. When I was watching that show, like, I started like talking like them subconsciously. I started saying "in it."
Yeah, you know, back to Drake, man. Like, I call him a culture vulture, like, essentially, because like now he's speaking in spitting in Puerto Rican in his songs, and you know, he's intact with this whole drill UK mannerism and that now, man. You've got like certain artists bringing him out and his shows and stuff. Like, he's talking like us. He's on Fire in the Booth with Charlie Sloth and that down here, like spitting like us and stuff. Like,
I guess it's hard though, because I guess if you ever got to that like high level, I'm sure there's a lot of pressure if you want to maintain, like, to make hit songs, and you always have to, like, I guess, kind of like expand what you're doing, or people will be like, oh, you're doing the same thing you did on the last album, right?
Yeah, you can't hate him for his creativity and that, but at the same time, if you know music, you know he's a biter. You know he's an imitator. But, you know, again, like, we've grew up like being influenced by you, and like, it's like you've been influenced by yours kind of thing. It's mad, it's weird.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this UK singer named Ray? R-A-Y-E?
UK singer called Ray? Don't think so.
Oh, okay. She's kind of on the come up out there in the UK. I think might be from like maybe like London, the London area, but like she works with a lot of big artists in the US. But I just thought you might have heard of her because, you know, she's gaining some popularity. She had like some big song out there, some club song like a few years ago. But I picked her up one time at LAX because I used to drive Uber and Lyft, and she was just out here doing some work with like Interscope Records, and we had an interesting conversation because it was a long ride. So
yeah,
she's cool people though.
No, like what Alien Allen was saying, like, I'm that diverse maybe I'm not too intricate with my own country, like my own surroundings, like my own settings, because, you know, I'm trying to be like more of a broad, wide, I'm trying to broaden out my horizons a bit more intricately. Like, I don't know, maybe I should pay attention to my own culture a bit more.
No, you're good because there's a lot of shit in the U.S. that I don't even know about. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
cause.
well, it's what I do. I suppose you can't be in every topic and like every given artist and stuff, but it's good to be in that circle kind of thing and just know who's who and like who's coming out new and that. I try to like,
Yeah.
You know, like keep it like fresh and know who's.
I think it's harder as we get older because our time becomes more limited because we have more responsibilities. So it's not like when we're in like high school or college where we had time to just sit there and listen to albums, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. Like that's a good point. That's a very good point.
But I agree with you. Like, definitely trying to, as we get older, it's important to like expand our knowledge base, right?
Definitely, man. There's a lot of people that I know. Like when I was like sort of shop with this clothing thing, that like a lot of my friends, I'd be like, I'm going to a breakdancing event or I'm going to a music event or something like out of town, and they'd just be want to stay in this city. I'm like, bro, like, never mind like the world, like it's a big country, bro, like. You know what I mean? You just want to stay in because they're just that used to the surroundings and they just grow up and it's that embedded in their head. Like, you know, they're just scared to like anything different kind of thing, like, you know?
Yeah. It takes time, I think, for people to grow though, too, right? Because I think we all have those points in our life where it's like we think we know. You know how when you're young, you think you know everything?
Yeah.
And you just want to experience things and you get stuck in these modes, right? But then as we get older, it's like, okay, the novelty wears off. And it's like, I can't keep doing the same shit and expecting different results, you know?
It gets too repetitive, it gets draining. It's like telling yourself, what are you doing wrong? What are you doing different? Nothing. So you're not going to get a different result. You know what I mean? Just got to be willing to put yourself out there, man, and just test the water kind of thing. Otherwise, you're never going to experience anything, man.
Yeah, but I'm lucky. Like I kind of like got a lot of that stuff like out of my system when I was in my 20s, like partying hard, chasing women, all that shit. Like it doesn't lead to too much, right? It all comes back to as you get older. It's like, how do I want to keep doing it? How long can I keep doing it?
Yeah, no, the same. Like I used to like wind myself up, like, you know, like in terms of girls and stuff like that. Like I'd be like, why is she hollering me? Like, why is she hollering them? Why are they hollering? Like, you know? And I'd go town with the purpose of like linking girls and stuff like that. And like when it never happened, I'd like kind of wind myself up. And then when I started going and just enjoying myself, it started flowing. I was getting numbers and that left, right, and center. I was like, okay, like I was just like forcing it too much. Like I should just kick back and flow with it, like, you know? But yeah, no, I took myself out of that whole ideology like real quick, man. Like I was saying, like, before I got a knack for this knowledge thing, I always like thought different anyway. I always wanted to move different and that anyway. Like I didn't want to follow them. I didn't want to do what they was doing. And wanted to just think for myself and do things for myself.
Yeah, but I think if like I didn't experience certain things at a younger age, like I'd probably still be curious about it right now. You know?
Yeah, most definitely. You got. It boils down to experience. Like you've got to experience it in one way or another, in one form or fashion, you know, like know what not to do by personal experience, like not like someone telling you, oh, like find out for yourself, like, you know, like you might enjoy it at the time, might not enjoy it like later on, but you know,
following your heart and then but also using your mind for like the judgment, right, to say, okay, how much time should I invest doing this, you know, and then knowing when to pull yourself back and say, all right, I got to check myself.
I don't know if you heard that song with Rick Ross about Birdman, idols become rivals.
Yeah.
If you heard that, like, that's applicable to me because I've seen a lot of people that I used to look up to now, like, bro, what's happened? What happened to you? Like, it's just like I've seen them, like, obviously, like, we're in a bad circumstance, like where I'm from, coming from a bad circumstance, but you can't do the same thing, expect different results. Like, they've done, like, they've just spent a lifetime, like, you know, selling and this and that and the other, but they've not put, like, they've got a certain amount of money. They've only ran in gold teeth and cars in not thinking, does not make sense to like wash your money up. Like, does not make sense to like get into property or real estate or assets or something. Like, you're just doing the same thing like 20 years later, bro. Like, and you're in and out of the system and you're wondering why. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm not gonna like, again, I can't say like I'm the most successful with the clothing and that, but I've done something. I've got a taste for certain things. I've done that myself, so I can like give myself a pat on the back for that.
Yeah.
You know? At least I've tried to do something. Like, what can they say? Like, you're gonna spend your life just pleasing these girls and these people and that don't necessarily like you. Like, you know, when Monday morning comes and like alcohol and the drugs are out of your system and like, who's really there? Like, you know, like, you know, your money's gone and that, and you're there like, you're just looking around and there's nothing there, and like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different kind of system. You know how they always call, like, there's the prison system and then there's that matrix system where some people, they get into the rat race and it becomes a routine and it becomes very systematic, but it takes time, like you said, to deprogram that way of thinking and catch yourself before you get too deep into it.
It does, man. It's hard, man. Like, cause like this is all like a lot of people that I know, like where I'm from. It's all they know. So it's like you're going against their religion, kind of thing, telling them like how not to move. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they're blasphemous, like going against the religion, kind of thing, or talking anything else. Like, you know, I don't know. They don't understand anything other than like what they've grown up around.
Yeah.
It's telling them anything different. It's just like you're speaking in braille or something. You just you know, like you're just presenting them with hieroglyphs or something. Like, they don't understand. They don't get it.
Yeah. But I think when you look at like some younger kids, you can kind of see like who kind of gets it, you know. And I think those are the ones that like they need more like more kind of like guidance and help, because they have like at an early age that train of thought, like that kid you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like he has that knowledge at that age, but it takes time and the right people around him to like groom him into becoming what he thinks or what he wants to become, right?
That's all it is, man. Just like, again, like with my nephews and nieces and stuff, where I took them training and that, like, I love to train, like, whatever, like, that's my thing. I just give them the opportunity. They don't necessarily have to be a fighter. They go out fighting. Like, that's just an opportunity for them. You know what I mean? Or a hobby, or just an option. Like, they don't have to do what I'm doing, but I'm just showing them something. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to just falling accustomed and being susceptible to anything. If you don't, like, you know, if you don't believe in nothing, then you just fall, accustomed to anything. Like,
yeah. Experiences. People have to experience new things, new environments, anything new outside of what they know in order to, I think, break down kind of like biases in our mind. There's this piece of information, I don't know if you heard this before, but it's like the smartest man in the world only knows 1% of all the information.
Like, not in that context, but like, yeah.
So I look at that, man. That's one thing that helps me kind of like talk to different people, is knowing that piece of information. Even the smartest man only knows 1% of information. So if like I'm engaging in a conversation with somebody, like say Bill Gates, if I started talking basketball, like, or hip hop, he probably wouldn't know like half the shit I know in that. You know what I mean? But if we're talking like computers and like you know, vaccines and shit, he probably knows a hell of a lot more than I do.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So what's the other ideology that the moment you realize you know nothing is the moment you understand, you begin to understand everything.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember where I've seen that, like some quote somewhere down the line, like, you'd think I'd be more intricate with this, because I look at that, I share a lot of quotes on our Facebook and all the time, like, kind of annoy everyone with it, like with this whole universal aspect and that, like this energy thing and that, like, yeah, you think I've had a lot more to portray about it.
No, you're good. You're on the right track though. I feel like you're early in the game. So like, it's like you have the concept, you have the idea, you kind of know where you want to go, but it's like, how do I get like a deeper experience in my life to say, all right, I'm ready to dive for this and go all in, and you know, whatever I do, like all my movements is based around making this Insightful Clothing a worldwide brand?
I've kind of looked at it like a spiritual journey kind of thing, but sometimes I feel like to just lay back off it for like, I don't know, like a few months, maybe even half a year, and then just proper dig into this knowledge thing. And if I can dig into it like that, then the word insightful will just speak for itself. It'll be like self-explanatory, and that like I'll be portraying this stuff like God does, with flowing, man. It will be as vast and as deep as the Mariana Trench. Like the knowledge I could portray with it is unparalleled. But it's just being able to dig in, and again, I hinder myself a lot with numerous things at once. So, you know, I think it's just one of the, I stifle myself a lot.
But I think, the ideas, that's always going to be there, you know, the foundation behind the brand. But then to like really get it out there, it takes a lot more, like, I think, like physical action, you know, contacting people, getting the right production volume, and then believing in it enough to like take a chance and say, you know what, I'm going to invest, like, to get the product that I need, get the website going, and then just like hitting everybody that you can, like that you think would like it, you know, kind of like with Alien Allen and the UFC fighter, you know.
That's all it is. It's just I'm just rusty around the edges with it. I just gotta like just put it all into fruition efficiently, like again kind of thing. And as soon as I can, like, you know, interject a bit more financially and stuff like that, then it's gonna flow.
Yeah,
it's gonna flow, because I've already done a few things with it, so you know, I've got a taste for it. So
yeah, it's all practice. Everything you do every day is practice.
It holds no bounds. I'm coming everywhere. I'm coming for everyone with it. As soon as I'm there mentally, and as soon as I'm there, like in other aspects and that, I'm coming for everyone. I'm coming for all.
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully I can be more interact with more people like yourself, and that, like, you know, just open a few more doors and just resonate on them levels, them energies and stuff like that. Like again, that's the goal for me with it. Just things like that.
Hell yeah, man. I like the direction that you're heading, man, and like I'm looking forward to getting that hat, man. I'm gonna rock that.
It's on its way. It's on its way to I've paid him. It's coming. Yeah, I think it's already been posted. So I imagine a week or so. Okay. 2 weeks. Yeah. It should be with you. Like, you know, because it's being shipped all over there. But
next time we talk, I'm gonna rock that with you and Alien Allen. If we talk again with you guys, I'm wearing that shit.
Yeah, hopefully we can do a little podcast and like you repping inside, whatever. Like, yes, my brothers, yes, my guy, you know.
Yeah, but like I said, I do want to compensate you. So if you do have like some way I can pay you, like electronically, I'll take care of you, man, because I appreciate your grind and hustle.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
But yeah, I think that's an intricate part too of like your business too, is probably having an easy way that people can purchase and pay.
Yeah, most definitely. Like again, like with this breakup with it, like I had a lot of stuff going on, so I've not been able to. My stuff's been on hold. Like with this girl that she was crazy. Like she put me onto models. Like her friends was models and stuff. And then like when obviously I sent them some stuff for promo, and then like, when I'm talking to them right next to her, like I'm not turning my phone from her or nothing or hiding anything, and she's still like, that's cheating. You're paying them attention. So it's crazy. Like so I had to deal with all that, and there's my baby mom. So I'm just like like I said, just rusty around the edges. I didn't have like time to set this whole website and all these other little things together, because, you know, crazy people like that.
yeah, it takes time, and I think as long as your main goal stays in your head and that vision of what you see your brand becoming, and you take steps towards it every day, like things will happen and come to fruition over time. Like some days you're gonna be, I think, feeling like, damn, we're really moving and shit, and then some days you'll be like, fuck, man, why am I doing this shit, you know?
But it happens, man. It happens. Like I've been there at events and stuff. Like I've sold, like, you know, I've made little simple designs like that's got much more recognition than intricate designs and stuff. I've been at like events where I've not necessarily sold like that. I've been at other events where I have. Like it's demoralizing, but every time, like I try to take something back, because I've been like an event in Northampton where I've got links to events in Birmingham, and then, you know, regardless if I don't sell enough, like whatever that day, I will still get connects and links, or I'll take something back from it. Like I'll learn, I'll watch how they're doing it, I'll like watch how I could be applying it better. You know what I mean? I try anyway to like try to be a sponge as much as I can.
Yeah, that's good. And even just being a sponge and learning that information is steps towards your success. So yeah, I think you're on the right track, man. And yeah, I'm looking forward to supporting your movement.
Likewise, man. Like, you know, like I was saying, it's just the opportunity of this platform and that, like, you know, like never mind actually going overseas, because I've been in talks of like promo and that over America, and I'm not even, this will be the first time it's gone over there to America. Like, you know, I've got to like Morocco, Finland, France, Spain, and Scotland, and here and that. So like a few countries, but yeah, you know, bit by bit, like to be involved with anybody else more other than yourself, like, you know, like-minded people. So it's hand in hand for me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. You're on the right track, man. And I feel like, you know, just like anything that you put your all into and your energy, and like Nipsey said, man, if you're willing to die for your brand like that, then I think it'll happen, you know, how it's supposed to happen.
I've spoke these things into existence, man. And it happened like shortly at like the next day, like when one occurrence, I was watching this thing with this guy. He's living in like his friend's beach house kind of thing. The roof was caving in. He's trying to get money for his book, this and that, this and that. Like, want all going good, and then he put a certain goal out there, and then one way or another, he didn't get the exact sum he wanted, but it happened. And I did it. Like I said, I'm gonna get this certain amount of money. Next day, I had a call from like a little back pay from something. I was like, the exact amount as well. Like, so I already had a set money aside, and then the money that I had from this back pay, it all added up to that more or less exact amount. I was like, wow.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate your time today. I have to run some errands right now.
Appreciate your time, but myself, bro. It's been an eye opener. It's been I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, thank you. Good luck with your podcast as well. Hopefully you get your recognition yourself as it's deserved.
Thank you, my friend. Is there any positive words or shout outs you want to give to anybody out there that are tuned in?
Yourself, Aileen Allen, big up Aileen Allen. Anybody that's on this similar ideology, this similar path, you know, like you're saying, like, you know, just keep at it, keep persistence. Everything can open doors. Might not be going good one day, or right this moment, but you never know what's around the corner. You know, just spread that positivity, man, because there's all sorts of madness going on, and you can all fall susceptible for anything. So just be about something or fall for anything. Yeah,
I like that.
With that.
I appreciate that, man. That's facts. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll be supporting your growth and your journey as much as I can through whatever you need, man. If you ever like have any big drops coming out, or you want to promote something, just hit me up, man, and we can set up some time and record something again. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. Hopefully, this is the first of many, and you know, I have to keep you up to date with a few new designs. I'll send you a few more items, not promo wise. I'll be happy to do that. But yeah,
right, most
definitely.
I appreciate you, man. Nice. All right, Jamell. Have a good day, man. Have a good evening, Cheers, I should say.
And you too, bro.
All right, talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.